Okay, fantastic. Well, I'm excited today on the InsurTech Leadership Podcast to be with Ralph von Grafenstein, founder and CEO of DocuSketch, the company that's changing how restoration and insurance professionals document property damage. DocuSketch's immersive 360-degree capture technology has redefined transparency and speed in property restoration, trusted by more than 30,000 professionals and 8 of the 10 largest restoration businesses in North America. Welcome, Ralph.
Thanks, Josiah, for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had a chance to chat a bit at ITC, which was good. But maybe for those who aren't familiar with DocuSketch, you could just fill in a few more of the details beyond what I shared there in the beginning.
Yeah. What we are doing is we have a technology which is creating immersive walkarounds to document the claim. And the most important story for the insurance and also for the restoration people is to document what is the story about the claim. And 360 photography helps to make with one photo a lot of clarity, because you don't have to go around, make a lot of photos which are independently. You're not knowing where is this photo taken and what angle is it taking. A 360 is very stable and it's not lying. So it transports a lot of the truth. And at the end, that is what the insurances and the restoration companies want. Yeah, because there's a lot of big discussions back and forth about, is this true? Is this claim like the restoration company told us or the adjuster? And that's what we are doing. Based on a 360, we are creating a sketch, measurements, and we are also writing estimates for restoration companies and adjuster to help them to reduce the cycle time of a claim.
Got it. And so what first drew you to this intersection of imaging technology and property restoration?
Again, what do I do? I'm sorry. What was the question?
What drew you to this kind of intersection of imaging and restoration?
Thank you. Normally, we are coming from the real estate, and our original European name was ImmoViewer, and we created 360 virtual viewings for restoration people. And we entered the US market 2018-19, and one of our customers was telling me all the time, you're doing the total wrong thing. You're in the wrong market. So we are coming from Europe. We are building from concrete. So water, stone, it's not happening a lot. And he explained us, you have to go to the restoration market, to go to mitigation and reconstruction. And I was not knowing this market at all. So he was a restoration company from a big chain in Long Island. And I asked, can I make an internship? So he took me to certain big houses, and it was blizzard was hitting all these nice houses at the beach. And the pipelines were bursting because of the freeze, and he explained me the damages, and it was quite eye-opening for me that there are more than 6 million claims every year in North America. And so 2019-18, we decided to make a total pivot, and we developed everything towards restoration insurance. And that was, how to say, the start of a very successful story for our company. And we have grown since then to more than nearly 1 million claims per year.
And so as someone who started in another market, then came into insurance, what did you have to learn? What was different? What was unique? What was challenging about, trying to figure out how to develop a business model and a revenue model in insurance?
Yeah, sometimes it's interesting when you're coming from a total different background and not knowing anything about it, because you're just looking at the problem, which is just a problem. And a lot of people who are since the beginning in this industry see it a little bit different. At the end, what we have here is a payout problem between a restoration company and insurance with a lot of documentation. And for us, it's just how can we speed up this payout process between a crafts company and a big corporate like an insurance. That's what we are doing. So we are looking very neutral at certain steps and say, how can we speed that up without trying to think a lot about what would it make to the market or to the people working in there. And that's why probably we are pretty successful, because we have to listen much more carefully to the people in this industry, because we don't have that much knowledge from restoration and insurance, and we are trying to do our best to cater both sides to reduce the cycle time between this payout process.
And so what does the documentation process typically look like without your solution? And where do contractors, adjusters, insurers, et cetera, typically lose the most time and accuracy?
Normally, the restoration companies come in a mitigation phase. That is normally catastrophe or not catastrophe. And when they enter a house, the first thing what they want to do as a restoration company is to document everything because of pre-loss. In a lot of cases, they're afraid that the owner of the house is blaming them for doing certain things in the house, what they don't have done, where the loss was already there. And also the insurances want to see exactly what was the status when these people enter, or the restoration company enter the house. Then they have to document the cause of loss, primarily for the adjuster, because he's sitting somewhere in normal cases and has remotely to understand from a black and white piece of paper with a lot of numbers called estimate and some photos what happened there. So it's a little bit about explaining what I said, the story of the loss. And what our people are doing normally without DocuSketch, they have a photo and making hundreds of photos every room to hope that they cover everything in a house. Then they sketch the house with piece of paper, normally, still the majority of the cases, and try to get the measurements right. Then they start to work on the project, and then they document it again when they're leaving the space. And when they're going back at their office, somebody maybe writes the estimate, so they have to wait until this person is maybe going back to the office, put a piece of paper down that they can write the invoice, and that takes sometimes several days. And the other side is that he's doing it on his own, and sometimes he has to do it in the night, and in a catastrophe he has to do a lot of these estimates. That's taking a lot of time. What's happening with DocuSketch? You're creating a 360 tour, which is instantly uploaded to our server. We start and create the measurements, accurate, high precision, within several hours. And if you want, we can write as well the estimate due to some scoping notes you're giving us over common fields. This tour could be shared. Tour means you have an immersive walk around through the house, could be shared instantly with the adjusting company or the adjusting inside adjuster at the insurance to understand better the cause of loss. So what we are doing is we are remotely taking the space, the claim, and sending it to the responsible people in real time. And that's speeding up a lot of this process, because you don't have to wait until the photos are getting to the right place. Humans are touching it and sending it to the right people. And that's the majority of that we are reducing the claim cycle time by just giving the right people the right information faster than it was before.
And what's the reaction like from adjusters and carriers when they see this for the first time?
It's not the first time that they see it. So interestingly, when I come sometimes to a booth, people are hugging me, say, thank you, Ralph, for making my life better. So they are not talking about 360 cameras or something. They say, wow, tell me, please, we're just doing documentation. And they said, you changed my life because I can now eat with my family in the evening without writing an estimate or making a sketch. You made my life much better, and also for my family. That's where I want to thank you. So a lot of these people have not stopped during the catastrophe or getting, the mitigation case in order again. They're coming home and need to do all this documentation work. And that's where we help the restoration companies to document something faster and much better. So that's why a lot of the people like us, because we are helping them to reduce normally a part of their work. They are not trained to do it, or they are not really happy to do this administrative work. And that's where we help.
And I know that sort of the way, and you mentioned, typically it's a different type of construction in Germany and Europe, but the way sort of restoration companies work, as I understand it, in Europe is a little bit different than here in the U.S. And so I'm curious, are you seeing potentially in evolution and how contractors and insurers collaborate as this technology, continues to take hold here in the U.S.?
The way the US is doing it is completely different than in Europe. First of all, we have a lot of different countries, different laws, different insurances. Everybody's doing it a little bit different. That's a very positive side in North America and Canada. There you got a lot of the majority of the carriers decided to do it one way. Centralized price list. The restoration people or companies can instantly invoice their carriers by this price list, and sometimes it's a little bit hiccup, but the process is going fairly fast if you do it. And you don't have to send, in Europe, you have to send an adjuster, and he's writing more or less the invoice, and then the insurance is paying out. So from a point of resilience, the USA and Canada are managing every year 5 to 6, 7 million of claims. That means more than 4 to 5% of all houses are affected by any natural catastrophe every year. And that is a strong, strong message. Yeah, we are able to do that year by year by year, and we are resilient against this. I don't know if the Europeans are already prepared for such a lot of damages, because it takes much more time to rebuild a concrete house. And also the process for the payout of claim damage to a house owner is taking much more time. So I'm not sure if this is a right or wrong process. It's also that most of the houses in Canada and in America are built out of wood. So the real building time takes much less time than it takes to build a concrete house. So you can't compare it. And you have to see, we are not doing this from Europe. The majority of our people are people out of the industry. We have probably the most certified estimators for totality and for various in North America as a single company. We have a lot of experience in our organization. That's something where I listen very carefully how to do it the best way, neutrally. And we are trying to implement that in our software and our process. It works pretty well.
And are there specific metrics you look at in order to measure, claim cycle acceleration or accuracy improvements?
So the major problem in this industry is when you're taking a look at the balance sheet of the insurances. At the end, the insurances are the policyholder are paying everything, but the insurances are the big payout. There are two big factors in their balance sheet. One is the acquisition costs. How much money and time do they need to acquire new policies? That means homeowners insurances. And the other side is how much are they spending for the settlement of the claim? And there we are taking two things. Is the majority of the cancellation of the homeowners is during a claim cycle process, because a claim is a big, big thing for somebody who has a policy, and the payout is taking too long. And that's the time where a lot of the churn happens. If you can reduce the cycle time, you can reduce the churn of the very expensive acquisition of the homeowners. And the other thing is, if you take a look at the balance sheet, this is a big, big part of the cost structure. So, and in this cost structure, you have a lot of administrative costs around the claim cycles. That is where we are taking a close look. And the real interesting number for us is how can we reduce the cycle time for settling a claim. That is important for the restoration companies, because out of a payout process, think about if you can reduce it from an average of 1 month to 2 days, what happened when we are writing the estimate, you're giving them a lot of cash back. The finance, so the interest rates they could generate alone with 1 month is really very high. And the insurances have the same thing. Every day a claim is sitting in their books is taking a lot of money away from them. So that is the metric we are taking a very close look. And from the accuracy point of view, we have done this now since 5-6 years. We know we are accurate, so that's constantly a stable and very high standard we have.
And so is there something unique in terms of how you use computer vision or AI to improve your accuracy, improve your efficiency overall?
So we have decided to have a human AI driven process. And that's very important for us, also for Sketch and also for the claims. Always a human is doing the final decision of this process. It's a little bit like what you're doing with ChatGPT. You ask, can you write me the email? But you are the person who's sending it. And you have to make sure that this is the quality you want and that this is the message. This is the same with the measurements. Sometimes you get very complicated cases where even a house is burned out and you can only see, how to say, where the walls could be, and we can create a sketch because human people know the construction. The same with settling a claim. Yeah, we have technologies like Ask Amy who are checking, is this estimate compliant against insurances and stuff like that, and popping up messages, oh, I think you don't have to, you can't put this in this line item. But in general, we have certified estimators who are making the quality check of an estimate and send it there. We are faster because we are centralizing and having a lot of knowledge in one place, and we can remotely do it and use a lot of these tools efficiently, more efficient than, I say, 20,000 people in different restoration companies with different knowledge levels. When we get feedback from an insurances that there is something they changed in their policies, we can do it instantly and everybody knows it because we are centralized. So it is always an AI or technology plus human approach we have.
Got it. And do you see additional integration of new types of AI or enhanced AI in your product roadmap or your service roadmap over time?
We are working since years with AI, but we are not talking about it because when you're honest, people don't care. They say, I want to have a good quality in a good price. However you do it, that's your job. And we are not talking about our job. And our job is as a technology or software company to use the best technologies to solve the problem. So we see us more as a problem-solving company instead of a technology company and praying out new technologies in there. Of course, there is a big change with this new coding styles and with technology, and we are using it internally to make us more efficient, but we are also testing out what can help a human writing an estimate much faster. And that's what we are permanently doing. But what the people are underestimating, that in not all the cases AI can solve a problem. In some cases, they're buying an AI tool to solve a problem, but they are buying another problem. I will give you an example. Think about you have an AI which could do 80% of your estimate, but you don't know what 80% of the estimate are right or wrong. So you have to review the total estimate. And what we found out that in most cases, the review process of an existing estimate written by an AI could take you more time than writing it on your own. So AI is not the solution for all the problems. It's this mixture out of intelligent processes and technology which speed up and reduce costs. And that's what we are trying. But that's not the problem of our customers.
So you talked about resilience in the US and the number of homes that are affected by a catastrophe each year. With the data that you're gathering through the platform, are you able to share information back to carriers or others in kind of the insurance value chain that could potentially help improve resilience in the future?
Yeah, that's a big growth sector within DocuSketch, where we are talking a lot about. So we have with millions of inside documentation of houses, and we have written hundreds of thousands of estimates, and we have all this data. And of course, we are taking a closer look. How are the general trends? What's happening in a catastrophe? And it's a lot of data we have right at the moment. But right at the moment, we are not creating a product for the insurances. We are just beginning to work with insurances together, and we're feeling the interest of them to tell us what is the normal problem. But we are not there yet. But definitely in the next few years, we will take a closer look at it if we can, productize this knowledge and help insurances, also house owners, to be more resilient. And in most cases, these are always the same problems in a house, and small construction, efforts could lead to a big reduction of the loss in a case it happens.
Yeah. What's the experience been like, building this organization globally? And, is that something that you had experience with in the past and had certain philosophies about already, or, has there been a learning curve to that?
Yeah, it's of course an interesting journey to create, I would say, a great or big company in the USA with being a European. And that means from the beginning we had to be a total remote organization. So that was even before Corona, and that was a big learning for me. In the beginning, we said you can work at home, and everyone say, "Yeah, it's great to work at home." But working at home is not so easy. Not having anybody you can talk to, no water cooler talk, nothing. So at the beginning, it was hard for us to get the right people being able to work remotely. And Corona helped us a lot, because then everybody understood what remote working was, and they were happy to say, okay, I could do something like it with DocuSketch. And that is what we have optimized in our organization, to get the right talent at the right location, and how to integrate virtually the people. And I call it a little bit Slack management. Yeah, you have to be a natural remote communicator to lead people, and that is the learning. You don't have visible meetings, where you can go into offices, knock on the door, and say, "Hi, I'm the CEO, and I want to do a little bit chat with you. Can we have a coffee?" You have to find your digital ways how to get social contact with your employees and to get them motivated and do the right thing. That's a learning. That was a learning for me as a normally traditional manager with people, how to lead a global organization with more than 2,000 people remotely.
And do you think of it as hiring for people who are going to work in a fast-moving tech company, or do you think of it more as people who are going to work in a service organization that are going to be committed to solving problems and providing the best service possible?
It's a little bit both, So I wouldn't say it's the one or the other side. Of course, the software is the driver in our organization and is the focus of the management, also with the AI. But people are underestimating that you can't go to a restoration company and say, "Hey, give me inside photos of a house, then I can create an AI and then I can solve your problem." They are not interested in it. They want to have a problem solved. So in most cases, you have to create a service organization to solve a problem. And when you have the market, you can think about how to automate it and speed it up and get price reduction. So the one is leading to the other. And the same will happen with data. You can't just say, "Oh, I need this data. I have a great AI tool." It's not helping you if you don't have really the process in place, if you know what data you need to do what automatization. So you need to be a successful AI company, in my opinion, both sides. Yeah, not everybody could run like ChatGPT, a big hosting environment, and run algorithms on the top of it. So you need the data to be unique, and that will be a big fight in the future for a lot of companies, software companies as well. How can I protect my revenue? And individual vertical data will be one of the sources, or how to say, protectors for the growth and the wealth of a company.
Any other thoughts kind of looking ahead into the next few years about what the business or what the industry looks like?
So we are still growing, and we are happy to help to reduce the big, how to say, costs circling around claims management and claims handling and claim settlement. That is still our biggest goal, because we see here billions of dollars wasted from insurances, and also the pressure that the policyholders have to pay for that indirectly to the insurances. And if we can reduce the costs, either more than 100 million house policies could be reduced, and the industry is getting more wealthy, in all, and more solid. The carriers have more room to to work with in consideration of costs. So that's the thing, what we want to give back to this industry, to try to reduce the administrative costs around claim settlement, and to, in the point, to automize it or get it close to the, we call it SaaSification, to make it more affordable for everybody.
If you were to sort of rewind the clock to when you started this business, is there any piece of advice you would give yourself now that you're kind of sitting where you are today?
You know, leaning back, like we have a lot of success, you know, and luck as well, you know. It's always to find the right space you can grow and be innovative. And we luckily found that small thing. And it's not so easy to get a successful company anymore, yeah, just giving a technology out here. And that is something where, when I'm looking back, we had a lot of luck. Either we have done it out of a good product market feeling, or it was luck, but that was a successful time. So I would not change everything here, not at all. It was quite a good journey. But I see right at the moment in the next years a lot of challenges coming to this total software industry with a new, how to say, way to develop software with AI. And it will be a very interesting phase. I'm very lucky that the industry we are working for, the restoration people, are not so much affected from this trend. You know, they are going out, they're repairing a house. You can't use robots to do this. So you need a human person going into the house. And we are very lucky that we are serving an industry not being so much affected by AI. And that is something what we consider lucky.
Yeah, that's great. Ralph, it's been an interesting conversation. Anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up today?
No, thank you, Joshua, for your time. It was great talking to you.
All right. Well, that was Ralph von Grafenstein. He is the CEO of DocuSketch, showing us how technology is reshaping restoration and accelerating claims for the modern insurance industry. You can learn more at DocuSketch.com. And Ralph, thanks so much for being on the InsurTech Leadership Podcast.
Thank you.